every aspect of our business life cycle is turning into a digital environment, right? Sales and marketing, there's no analog component left. It's fully information-based and in a digital way. Chris Anderson, the head of Wired magazine 10 years ago, wrote this book called Free, and he argued that every business model is going to free, okay, if it's information-based. And people said that's crazy. And then you make money off an advertising model or cross-subsidy model. And he said that every business model will go to free. And people said at the time, you're crazy, that's a ridiculous concept. But he's turning out to be more and more correct, as he usually is. If you fly around in Europe, you're familiar with Ryanair, the low-cost budget airline. If you buy the ticket early enough, it costs like €5 to cross Europe. Okay? Then you pay for the time, as you get closer, you pay for not sitting in the middle seat, you pay for every suitcase, and then you'll pay for every molecule of oxygen as soon as he has the sensors on board to detect it, right? The CEO of Ryanair, who's a bit of a character, actually applied to the European Union, and he said, I would like to give all my tickets away for free. Please let me give my tickets completely away for free, but let me do gambling in the seatback monitors. Because you worked out the profit margin on the ticket would be way higher of somebody gambling for 2 hours than actually the margin on the ticket, right? The EU said no, of course, and my first reaction was, well, it's the EU. They say no to pretty much everything. But I was talking to one of the regulators. It turned out they had a valid reason. They said, look, you'd create a huge incentive for plane delays. You can imagine the pilots circling around going, well, we can't land, keep gambling, et cetera, and they didn't want to create that kind of an incentive in there. So he made this argument. Kevin Kelly, who's the founder of Wired magazine, wrote a rebuttal to this book called Better Than Free. And he argued that if the base information is available, there's about 8 ways of adding value to it. And what I think he's identified here are the business models for a digital age. And any of you that have information-based environments will recognize some of these. Google gives you interpretation or personalization. Airbnb gives you accessibility. Uber gives you findability and so on of old assets. And we're information-enabling asset after asset. But this is the quote that really struck me. This is David Rose, one of our faculty, making the point that all of our businesses are built for efficiency and they're built for scalability. They're built to deliver the same widget in 100 countries using standardized supply chains and back-end and ERP systems, et cetera, et cetera. They're not built for flexibility. They're not built for adaptability. And today, it's a different world where we have to adapt for that. And the book basically thinks about the idea that we've learned how to scale technology pretty well, but scaling the actual organization structure has always been painfully incremental and linear. But just in the last 5 years, we're seeing a new breed of organization where the actual org structure is scaling in the same way in which we can scale technology. We've now identified over 100 companies using these techniques to scale very, very rapidly. The base metric that we found is that if you use some of these new techniques, you deliver at a minimum 10x performance improvement compared to your competitors in the same space, right? Which is not minor. So if you're a car company, for example, it costs about $3 billion for a typical car company to design a new car model from scratch. Local Motors designs a completely new car model from scratch for about 100 times cheaper than that. Right? So there's 100 times performance increase. And we're finding across the board this minimum 10x performance increase. And as I said, we've now found about 100 of these doing this.